Well, hello, Foxies. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Silver Fox Sonia coming at you, Foxies, to tell you all a story, a short story. I'm going to try to make this as short as possible, but considering I've worked in this industry for over 30 years, it's kind of hard to cut short. But I know I've been away for a while. I've gotten phone calls, not even just from my foxies, but my foxies that are family, stating, "Girl, where are you? You've been too quiet." But I've taken this time to just chill, relax. I injured myself a couple of times trying to do things around the house, but I am well. I am okay. I'm checking in with you all to give y'all the 411 on this retirement. Since many of you were shocked and stated that I'm too young, which I am really too young to retire, but I am retired from trading oil and gas. So, this story of working 30 years in the oil and gas trading industry, 21 of those years being at Shell, um, it came to the point to where I had to find that silver lining and a sign of hope or a positive aspect in an otherwise negative situation that would help me to carry out these 2 years that I had left to get to my 80 points. So the goal at Shell was, hey, get to the 80 points so you could get that discounted insurance when you retire, and then you just have some extra financial bonuses when you get your 80 points. So, how this all started, let me paint the picture for you. So, like I said, I've been in this industry for 30 years, with 21 of it ending at Shell. So, how I got at Shell, I got a call one morning after I had gotten laid off from another job or asked to take the package when they were doing layoffs. And a friend called me and asked me, "Hey, you have any contract experience?" And I said, "Yeah, I got contract experience." She's like, "No, no, do you really have contract experience? Is it on your resume? Did you really do it?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have contract experience." She's like, "Can you send me your resume? I need to send it to my supervisor, my boss. They're looking for somebody." So I said, "Okay." And I'm in the bed at this time when she called me. I send her my resume and everything, and I get a call. I want to say that same day, if not the next day. I called in for an interview, 15-minute interview, got hired on almost immediately on the spot to work contract that could possibly go permanent. Um, and I'm going to fast forward this as much as possible so it won't be long. But got into Shell working on the trading side of the business. And I wasn't new to the business, as I said, because I had worked in trading before with another company for oil and gas company, actually three other oil and gas companies prior to Shell. But got on working in contracts, financials, as well as international contracts. Within the first 30 days, they wanted me to apply for something permanent. I said no, I didn't want to go back to scheduling. It was too stressful. And for those of you that don't know, um, oil and gas on the trading side of the business, or just trading period, is very stressful. You do a lot of multitasking. Some days you don't get lunch. They'll feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner just to stay at your desk to work all day. So I didn't want to go back to scheduling. And so my boss at that time, she's just like, okay, okay, I understand. So maybe 2, 3 months later, there was some other positions that came through that she asked me to apply for. applied for it, got it. So this was in 2004. And like I said, worked contract, I think 90 days, and got on permanently. Started working permanently in the first 7 years within this company. Every 2 years to 2.5 years, I was moving to another position. Several of them lateral, but I was constantly moving, constantly learning, as well as being leaders in different networks and organizations with Shell, be it Habitat for Humanity, United Way. I was United Way Young Leaders. I was United Way team captain every year, probably for 10 or 12 years I was at Shell. And while I was on the gas and power side of the business, it was a constant move, constant move, constant move, constant move, constant move. I'm learning different things. And then I realized when I was 17 years a wife, if y'all haven't watched 17 Years a Wife, go to YouTube, catch up on 17 Years a Wife. But during my period in these roles, I knew that I would be filing for divorce, and I knew I couldn't stay in these same roles and be a single divorced mother. So I started looking for other things, got another job, and I went from the gas and power side of the business to the crude oil side of the business, which I thought would be much easier, right? Well, when I get over to the crude oil and gas side of the business, the systems were so antiquated, even up until the point to where I left. I was in a mainframe system. So mainframe system, for some of y'all that may not know, if you're younger, for those millennials and the ones that are after the millennials, what is that, Z? But it's a FFF function system, multiple pages for each deal that you do. So it was really stressful, long, cumbersome. And I don't know why it is, wherever I go, I would always get the most difficult desk. And people would say when I come to the group, they'd be like, "Oh, what region are you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing this region. I'm supporting this trader." "You brand new. Why they giving you the most difficult desk?" I'm like, But it was said that I picked up on stuff quickly, easily. And I think I was just one of them persons that didn't cry often. I just be like, okay, I gotta do what I gotta do to learn what I gotta learn. So I did that. But within the crude side of the business, I was in this department for 14 years. Now, the work, stressful, hard, lots of multitasking. But the difference I can say in this particular group and the previous group was the people. Oh my gosh. When I tell you they were so loving, so kind. I remember shortly after going to this group, I had lost my grandmother. And they showed me so much love and were there for me that it made the work easier to bear because the people were so kind and many of them were Christians. So it just made the job easier and it was more fun. We were like a family. So what got me to this retirement, my Foxies, I'm gonna cut it kind of short because I could give you a whole long story about a whole bunch of stuff I went through while I was in this department, which is really sad. But I want to start with how I got to retirement. So we had this Excel spreadsheet at work that I had passed off to many of people that I got when I was on the gas and power side of the business, to where you could put in your start date, your age, and it would tell you what your 80-point date is if you wanted to retire. So, every year we looking at it like, oh, let me put in my days. Oh, girl, I got 12 more years. I got 5 more years. So imagine you working for a company for so long, trying to get to your 80 points. And as time goes along, you're starting to notice you're getting brain fog, you're exhausted. I go on vacation. It got to the point I didn't want to go on trips. All I wanted to do when I went on vacation was sleep. I didn't even have the energy to do anything. So, this spreadsheet that we used to do, everybody be like, oh, I got this much time, I got that much time. Hopefully, if there's not a reorg and you get a package and then you go out, now sometimes maybe bridge you over, sometimes not. But there was so much stuff going on within the company. It was another reorg that came about, and I had started noticing some things as far as people getting packages that I thought shouldn't have gotten packaged, that maybe they should have offered it to people that have been here as long as they've been with the company or were so close, considering that the way we work, it's really hard to stay to get your 80 points. So months leading up to this, I had been telling my dad, telling my parents, hey, I think I'm retiring. I can't do this no more. I was just exhausted. So I'm saying this and saying it and saying it over, but yet scared because I'm leaving a lot on the table. A lot on the table if I leave. So it was one day, it was a Wednesday, May the 1st, 2024. At this particular time, our group had come home for a while to work because our office is doing a remodel and there's not spaces for everybody to sit. So we had these floating desks. One day a week, we had to come in as per management. So on this particular day, I came in on a Wednesday. And nobody else was there that day that I would sit with in the lease analyst group. So I'm over in the floating desk. I'm all by myself. Nobody is there. And I'm working. I set my desk up. I plug into all the monitors. I get everything ergonomically set for my desk and for the day. So some of my coworkers are walking by going to the bathroom and they're like, Sonia, you're by yourself. Come sit with us. I'm like, no, I think I'm going to stay over here. I'm already set up. A few more people came by. You by yourself? Yes, I'm by myself. I'm working by myself today. So as I'm sitting there working for the day, Foxy's, those that really know me, they know I'm a people person. I never meet a stranger. I walk in the room. I'm just like, hey, what's up? Good morning. Good morning. I'm happy. Happy go lucky. Sometimes I walk in, people are like, oh, here she come. Other people be like, yay, she here. But on this particular day, I'm all by myself. And I don't notice until later, and I reflect back on the day, that I had been praying all day. Praying to the point to where I was lamenting because I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, not knowing what to do, where to turn. Should I really leave? I only got 2 more years. I'm leaving a lot on the table. I go to lunch by myself. I work by myself this particular day. And on this day, I went to lunch. I come back from lunch. I sit down, log in. I get up. I go to the ladies' room. I come back to my desk. As I get to my row, walking back to my desk, I hear this internal voice that says, you are done. I stop. I look around because it was so loud inwardly that I'm just like, Nah, somebody had to say that. And then I'm like, I stop and I say, Lord, I'm done. What do you mean I'm done? I'm done with this job, this position, or with this company? I'm waiting for an answer. I hear nothing. I'm like, Lord, I'm done with the position or I'm done with this company. It scared me because I'm just like, I want to say, like, I'm talking to one of my girlfriends, like, I know you lying. What? Nah, Rip, what am I going to do? I only got 2 more years left. So then I start going through all of the things that I'm basically leaving on the table. I only got two. At that time, it was 2.5 years. I only got 2.5 years left. That means if I leave, I what about my insurance? What about the pension? What about the 401? What about? And I'm going through all of these questions like, Lord, no, you can't. You pushing me off the edge. Now, Foxes, I've been saying for months, I'm going to retire, right? In the back of my mind, it was the Holy Spirit telling me it's time for you to go. But I was scared to go. So I needed that voice to say, oh, it's time for you to go. It's okay. But yet I'm scared. I'm a single mother. I have a son in college. I'm taking care of most of his stuff. Um, and trying to figure out how I'm going to make it all work and pay the mortgage. And at that time, doing a remodel. Just so many things. I'm like, Lord, no way. How? Even though I was saying to myself, I need to retire. But when he told me it's time, it scared me. So, Foxes, that was Wednesday, May the 1st. During this time, or a month before, they had moved stuff off of my desk so I could go to another desk. Long story short, during my monthly reviews or check ins, I'm letting them know that, hey, basically, don't move me. Let me stay here. If anything changes, I don't have the capacity to take on anything else. I've been doing this for so long. And then over the past 2 years, let's say 23 and 24, all of these companies were coming back with corrections that they needed to happen from 2020. So while we were out on the pandemic, there were many things that weren't done correctly. Not any fault of our own, all due to the other companies, right? So as I stated, these jobs are high stress. You're constantly multitasking and handling your day to day and your monthly closes. So now on top of all of that, what we already have to do, we have all of these companies. And when I tell you multiple companies, excuse me, coming back asking us to correct stuff that they had us set up that was incorrect for 2 years. So you got all of the corrections for 2 years, going back, and if there were any price changes, um, we have these things where we call an allocation, where you have a well that may have multiple wells behind the well, where you allocate the volume at the end of the month and split it out as per they tell you to split it out. So imagine, I'm going to give you one example. I can't tell you company names, but imagine having a company tell you, okay, we want to set up this many wells. Let's say 12 wells, because this is actually it's 12 wells. These 12 wells were set up incorrectly for 2 years. The 12 wells should have been 90 wells. So imagine going back, redoing, doing away with 12, creating 90, and doing that work for 2 years. So that on top of what we already did every day. And it was multiple companies coming back. And I may have had 3 counterparties on my desk, and some other people had a few others. And we were all working together to try to help each other out because we had somebody on medical leave, somebody was let go, and we just didn't have the manpower that we had prior to all of this. So this was an additional thing that added to our desk. And we're not going to even talk about what's going on in your personal life. I had recently lost my mom, had been out on medical leave, come back, and I come into this, and it was 2 years of this, Foxy's, 2 years of this. So at this point, it's like, my father hates for me to say this, but I was like, if I would have stayed, I know it would have killed me, literally killed me if I would have stayed trying to work to get the insurance. So what good would it have done me if I stayed? So with hearing that voice from the Lord that my time was done, for 2 months, I didn't say anything to my team lead or to my manager. They had moved me to a new desk. I did not have the capacity to take on anything else, to learn any trader stuff, the way he did his deals, whatever. My body went on shutdown because this is about the 3rd time within this group that they had done some janky stuff to me. But while processing and waiting out and trying to figure out what I'm doing or what I'm going to do, a month later, I had a coworker who wasn't in my group call me, and he's like, hey, I need to talk to you. And I'm telling you this story because I need to show you how God moved in this situation. So he called me. I hadn't spoken to him in a while. I may have seen him passing in the tunnel or something. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Give him a hug and keep on moving. He's like, hey, I need to talk to you. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, you got time? I'm like, yeah. So long story short, he tells me that his job is being dissolved and he has to find and post for something else. He has a young son. His wife just had another baby. So he's just like at wit's ends, like, what am I going to do? I need to take care of my family. I need to provide for them. And, I'm just being a listening ear and trying to encourage him. And I gave him some scriptures, and we talked about Habakkuk 2:2, writing the vision down, making it plain, praying about it, and all of this other stuff. So at that time, my teammate, my coworker, had made it to her 80 points. And she turned in her retirement resignation in between this time. And I had already gotten mine. The Lord told me he told me I was done, but I didn't let them know that I was leaving. But meanwhile, a week or 2 later, she lets them know she's retiring. So her job was posted. And he saw the posting, and I didn't realize he was going to post for it. And he never said anything about it. We just talked about, his situation. And 40 minutes after he was into his conversation of everything he was going through and what he had to do, he's like, you know what, Sonia, I'm sorry. How are you doing? So I let him know what was going on with me and how tired and exhausted I was, and at wit's end, and did not know how much longer I'd be able to carry out this position. So I told him I was thinking about leaving. And he's like, oh man, really? Nah, man, what we gonna do without you? So we get off the phone. I guess he had posted for that position. Somebody else had gotten it. A month later, so that was May. I think he called me in June, mid-June. 2 weeks later, or within a month later, I happened to be in the tunnel, went to go get some lunch. I saw one of my coworkers eating and I stopped, talked with them for a while, and we were just talking about the work and how things have changed. And, you got different generations coming through. Management is changing the way they're doing things. They're not listening to us. And on Wednesday, May the 1st, when I heard that voice, I happened to speak to this person that day. And I said, hey, you remember that day when I sat over by you and we talked about woo woo this, woo woo that? He's like, yeah, 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 yeah. I was like, well, on that day, after I went to lunch, came back, I was walking to my desk, I heard this voice that says, you are done. Now, they were just eating their food, listening to me, not even looking at me. However, when I said, I heard the voice, you are done, they looked up at me and said, Sonia, delayed disobedience is still disobedience. It was like I got slapped upside the head with a baseball bat, y'all. I said, what you say to me? I said, delayed disobedience is still disobedience. I looked at them and said, I'm done talking to you. I'm out of here. Bye. I left, went back to my desk. The very next day, I told my team lead, I said, I am retiring. And I told her exactly what I heard on May 1st, 2024, along with some other things I heard as well. But many of you asked, like, Sonia, you retired. How? Why? My colleagues. This is how. This is why I left. To be obedient to what the Lord is saying. So I say, if you are hearing God speak to you, to tell you to do something, to move, do it and be obedient. Because after I was obedient, I got a phone call again from the same person that called me, letting me know that he had to find another position. And he called me, he said, hey, did you do it? It's another job posting out here for y'all's position. I said, oh, yeah, I did it. I cut the cord. I'm done. I'm doing it. He's like, what, really? And while I'm talking to him, it was like the wheels just started turning and going. I'm like, oh my God, you would be perfect at this job right now, I think. Coming from an IT background, the things I know that they wanted to do in the department and new systems to get up and whatever. I said, I think you would be perfect and the perfect person to help them or help this group get to better processes and systems to where the job isn't so hard and tedious and you're not working in 15 different systems, right? So I'm talking to him, y'all. And let me tell you how God works. God is so good. So while I'm talking to him, he actually gets a call from my team lead to interview for the job. So I'm giving him the background and the I guess the crude oil 101 basics of what he needs to know for the job. He interviews for the job. He gets the job. And when he got the job, it reminded me of one of my pastor friends, Pastor Breeden, telling me when I told him that I heard this voice, he was like, that means God has something else for you. Somebody's waiting on you. And I was like, huh, okay. Maybe God does have something else for me. And of course he does, but in those times when you got this much on the line that you could be leaving, you like, Lord, okay, if I'm leaving this on the table, I know there has to be something bigger than this that I'm leaving for you to be telling me I'm done. So fast forward along, his wife came up to the job one day to pick him up, and I wanted to see their new baby. I go out to give her a hug and see the baby and then talk to their other child. And she gets out the car and says, tell her. And I'm like, tell me what? So their son is in the back seat and he's being all bashful. And he's like, thank you. I said, thank you? Thank you for what? And he said, for giving my daddy a job. And I was like, oh. And then at the same time, I was like, dang, this real. This man did get my job. I ain't got a job no more. Oh, Lord. Y'all, I started getting scared. I started sweating. I didn't let him know that, though. But I was just like, oh, my God, I don't have a job. I'm like, okay, Lord, what you gonna do? So then at that time, he and his wife both looked at me and they were like, you have been so instrumental in our life from both of my pregnancies now to this. We cannot wait to see what God is going to do in your life. That was such encouragement for me. So in telling this story, Foxies, I hope and pray that this story encourages you to whenever you hear the voice, whenever you have a dream, that you pray, that you seek God, and that you be obedient. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And I'll be coming back to tell you what's next. So yes, I retired from the oil and gas and the crazy multitasking and the stressful daily, weekly, monthly tasks that I did. But I'm going to go back and do something else because really I'm too young to stop working. But next job is going to be fun. So, Foxy, that's all I got for y'all. Silver Fox will be checking back in with you all, telling you some other stories that I have regarding my mom and the things leading up to her being on this earth, going to glory. As well as I want to talk about mental health, and especially for people of color that do not believe in therapy. It's needed. It helps. And I know maybe 30 years ago, we call it the crazy doctor or say all we need is Jesus. But yes, we need Jesus and we also need therapy. But Foxies, that's all I got for you all. I'm signing out. Let me make sure. That's all I got for y'all. Yeah. That's all I got for y'all today. But Silver Fox thought she'd check in, let y'all know I'm good, I'm okay. Um, I've just been really resting and taking care of me. Um, but like I said, I'll be back with some stories. I'll be back with the therapist. So you all can meet her, ask her questions. I'll go live when I come on with her. And I'll also send a flyer out to let you know when she'll come live. But Foxies, take care, be blessed. I love y'all, and y'all have an amazing day. Love y'all. Peace. Smooches.